Hello and welcome to this live stream where the title is Beyond Fear and Power to Face. So welcome to the viewers of Inner Space Wembley. My name's Neil Jordan and I first got involved with the Brahma Kumaris back in the year 2001. Actually, it was year 2000. My mum introduced me to the meditation that is practiced here, and everything that is taught is based upon the Raj Yoga meditation, which personally for me has been a complete life changer and a life saver. That's probably why my mum wanted me to learn how to do it. So just to give you a little bit of a background so you can understand the kind of transformation that I've gone through, is I needed to be able to get through the day, I needed to rely on recreational drugs. I used to smoke cannabis. I used to smoke cigarettes. I used to drink alcohol. And before that, a lot worse sort of stuff. So my life was very chaotic, very unpredictable. 1 minute I would have a job, the next minute I wouldn't have a job. 1 minute I'll be living somewhere, the next minute I would have nowhere to live. And this went on for a number of years until I learned how to focus my mind and really understand the power of my mind. Now, when someone would mention to me the word meditation many years ago, I would instantly think that it wasn't for me. I was quite happy smoking my cannabis and hiding and escaping from the realities of life by being stoned all of the time. When I thought of meditation, I just thought of that as another form of escapism. I would always kind of conjure up the images of someone sitting like this and going on and all this sort of stuff. And I just didn't find that very interesting. Obviously, this is almost 20 years ago now. But my mum started to tap into the benefits of it a couple of years prior to the year 2000. And at the time, she was going through a difficult period in her life. And I started to see a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a change in her. Because the difficulties that she was going through was creating a lot of uncertainty in her life. She was going to be she was going through a divorce, so she was going from a safe home with a husband, and then facing a future of being alone and having to pay her way forward as on her own. But when she learned the meditation, I just noticed there was this different kind of attitude, a different strength about her, and that kind of caught my interest. Didn't pull me straight in, and I still didn't practice the meditation then, but I just noticed that there was this difference in her. And it's funny because the meditation that we practice is open-eyed meditation. I'm sure a lot of you know that already. So when my mum used to try and sell it to me, she would sit like this, like, look, I'm meditating. And I used to say, Mum, you look really weird. You're not selling it to me at all. So if anything, she was pushing me away from it. But then she got an invite to Oxford Retreat Centre, which was a huge stately home. I hesitated then because I don't know if it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be open again in the future, but I don't know when, so I can't recommend that you go there to see it. But we went there for a one-day retreat, me, my wife and my mum, and I experienced somebody standing in front of a flip chart, and they explained some stuff about the mind, about us, about virtues and qualities. And during the day, as the day went on, and the biscuits were lovely, I must admit, but as the day went on, it started to dawn on me. I wasn't struck by lightning or anything, but there was definitely something happened inside my mind, something positive. And I started to realize my mind is really, really powerful. And I used to have billions of questions then. Who am I? Where do we come from? What's this all about? And people used to say to me, Neil, you're going to send yourself mad asking those questions. But still, those types of questions would persist. And during this day, it kind of dawned on me that all the answers that I'm looking for actually lie inside myself. But I've got to be able to access myself. And because I'm relying on chemical stimulants, alcohol and the cannabis to get through life, it's more suppressed life. But that was my crutch, that was my aid to enable me to move forward or stay still, or it was my comfort blanket. And it started to slowly dawn on me that I need to stabilize and focus my mind to really be able to tap into the inner potential that lies inside. Now, somebody said to me, learn this meditation and in 3 months you will stop smoking marijuana and cannabis. I probably wouldn't have taken it up. I honestly thought the meditation would enhance my smoking experience. But I did do the meditation, and within 3 months I did stop smoking cannabis marijuana, which I'd been smoking by then for about 14 years. And it was the only constant and stable thing in my life. People would come and go, money would come and go. I could never rely on West Ham because they lose half the time. But I did stop, and there was this real inner strength that started to develop inside of me, and a calmness and a stillness. And I was then able to reflect on the previous years of my life. And I started to notice that the reason I used to get out of my head, literally, so much is because I was full of fear. I think ultimately fear of how great I am. Look, we're all great. I'm not being egotistical there. Yeah, you're great as well. Yeah. I think there was a fear of that, and I still think I'm going through that even now, 20 years later. But as I reflected on my life then, I started to realize that I had a fear of facing the demons that were already inside of me, the negative recordings, the experiences, the blame that I'd allowed myself to accumulate. And just like the smoke from the cigarettes and the drugs, these perceptions had clouded my judgment, had created a mist in my mind that I couldn't see clearly. Because fear is a very overwhelming emotion, and once we create the thought in our mind, it then tells, I kind of call the pituitary gland inside the brain my chemist, because I create a thought, and then it's like I give that thought, that message, that signal to the pituitary gland, my chemist, and he, obviously he's genderless, but mine is a he, he will then mix a chemical mix and flush it into my nervous system, my endocrine system, my digestive system. So when I used to get fearful, I used to get angry, because that was my defense mechanism. And that fear would come from the slightest criticism, or even someone could look at me funny and I could take that in the wrong way. So when now in the position that I am now, and I can really look back from a detached perspective of the type of person I was then, I didn't like myself so much that I needed everyone else to like me so much, because we all need we all need the feeling to belong. This is love. But love can't consistently maintain, like love from other people can't consistently maintain the levels that I need. I need to be able to generate self-love. I need to be able to appreciate myself, understand myself, know that I do have positives and negatives about me and about my personality, and being able to accept all of those in their entirety. Love for me is acceptance. Then things can be changed once we accept. But the fear of others not liking me all stemmed from because I didn't like myself. So on a subconscious level, I knew I had a deficiency, and I would then look to others to provide me with what it is that I needed. And that isn't sustainable. That's exhausting. Then you move into the blame game when things don't go your way and you don't get what it is that you need. And now I clearly understand that to blame makes you lame. And it really does. Because when we blame someone or a situation, especially kind of the very high levels of difficulty that the world is going through now, when we start to blame, what we're actually doing is taking away the power from ourselves. Because if I'm blaming someone else or something else for how I feel, then what I'm actually saying is that people can control me. People can control my thoughts and my feelings. But that's not how it works. Feelings, experiences, they come from within. So I want to give you a little example. This is my mobile phone. Yeah, it's not an Apple, but it is a Samsung. And a year, 2 years ago, this was the top of the range Samsung. So let's imagine I received this through the post. I took it out of the box and I experienced the experience of happiness. So then it poses the question, how did Samsung get happiness into the phone if the phone makes me happy? Like, is it a liquid? I asked someone this yesterday and they said it's an app. So there's an app in the phone storing happiness that when I then purchase the phone and open the box and take it out, the happiness in the phone can then discharge itself and make me happy. So how does that happen? Is it a vibrational wave that enters me, or does it run up my arm and then I experience the happiness? This does not have happiness in it, right? Because a year later, when this phone is out of date, it now causes embarrassment. Yeah, because everyone else has got the latest version and poor old Neil's got the version that's a year, 2 years old. So now it creates embarrassment. Yet it's the same phone. It's the same piece of matter. It's the same plastic, glass, rubber, whatever, microchips and amazing technology that's inside these now. But it is amazing. It is a smartphone, but it's not a happy phone. It does not have happiness inside it. So what's actually happening is I am creating an inner dialogue about the phone. Because some of you listening to this will be, well, what's he talking about? What's so great about a phone? As long as it makes phone calls and sends text messages, then that's all I need it to do. That's a silly phone. That's a waste of money. That's far too expensive. So even me highlighting that, it can create different experiences inside different people. But the phone, again, isn't creating that. It's our inner dialogue about the phone. Because when I first purchase it, I'm happy. A year later, I'm embarrassed. The phone's the same. The only thing that's changed is my perception of the phone. And my perception is created through my thoughts, my feelings, and my attitude. That's what then shapes my perception. So the happiness that the phone gives me doesn't come from the phone at all. It comes from myself. Now, this is a really, really powerful thing to understand. And this is one of the lessons that I grasped and understood and have been bringing into my life and my awareness pretty much on a daily basis ever since, for years. Nothing makes me happy, and no thing, because matter cannot make me happy. Matter does not hold happiness inside it. What is happiness? Well, you get inner happiness, happiness that's created within your consciousness. Then you get hormonal happiness. So like I mentioned earlier, we create a thought. The thought tells the chemist to create the mixture. So if I create the vibration and the thought of happiness, that then tells my chemist to flush serotonin and all the happiness hormones into the system. So then it registers on a physical level. But that doesn't just happen. I have to create it. And the reason I'm highlighting this is because fear is pretty much the same. Once fear starts off on a thought level, on a consciousness level, on an awareness level, and then it then tells our chemist to then chuck adrenaline and all these other kind of chemicals into our system, the body and the brain, which then affects us. So what then happens is we think the situation that we're observing is creating the fear, but it's our interpretation of the situation. We are creating the fear. Yeah. Now, sometimes people resist this understanding because they've been locked for so long in the blaming of external situations and other people. But actually, to take real control, to have full responsibility, so let's break that down, responsibility, so to have the full control over how I respond, I need to understand that I am creating that. Another little example, or a metaphor, simile, analogy, I'm not sure which is the right word. So you've got a captain and he is leading his soldiers across the battlefield, and the enemy start to open fire. So there's bullets flying everywhere. And our captain, so me and you, we are in this platoon, and our captain falls to the floor, curls up like a baby, starts crying and asking for his mum. How do we now feel? Bullets are flying everywhere. There's chaos. We ain't got much of a chance, have we? It's a very, very difficult and stressful, chaotic, fearful situation. Let's replay that. So we're going across the field. Me and you are in the platoon. We're being led by our captain. The bullets start flying everywhere. And it's like we all duck down to avoid the bullets, and our captain just stands there. And it's like the bullets are just flying past him, like they're never, ever going to hit him. He remains calm. He remains stable. And then he starts to give us instructions. Okay, so you go left, you go right. We're going to surround the enemy. Da, 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 da. The captain wouldn't be able to do that if he panicked, he became full of fear, because otherwise he's going to drop to the floor, curl up in a ball and start crying and asking for his mum. It's the same situation, but a completely different response. The captain represents me, represents you. The enemy represents life, the virus, the economic situation, that we see in the news all of the time. All of the fear, the upset, the sadness, these are the bullets that are coming from the enemy. And we call it enemy because the enemy is trying to affect me in a negative way. And the game is for me to maintain my positivity. Now, for me, positivity means stability. It doesn't mean happy clappy like a children's TV presenter. To be able to be truly positive, I'm able to remain stable in my mind and then decide what action is going to be best to suit the situation. That for me is the true definition of positivity. So the bullets represent the difficulties in the world. You are the captain, and the soldiers, the members of the platoon, are your own thoughts and feelings. So what I'm getting at is, in the difficulties of life, in the difficulties of these situations, the calmness of the mind is going to enable us to develop thoughts, create thoughts that are going to keep my system calm, because I'm going to tell my chemist to produce calming chemicals for the body. I'm going to be able to remain calm so I can then make a decision to then take an action that is going to move the situation forward in a positive, stable way. But this all stems from the mind. The calmer my mind, the better my karma. We can only do that in Essex. But no, joking aside, yeah, the more calm my mind is, the better the action, the definition of karma, the better action I'm going to be able to take. Because if I'm in a difficult situation, and a lot of us are in a difficult situation at the moment, I've got a lot of financial burden and uncertainty that I'm being faced with. I know that may seem trivial to someone who's lost a loved one or is in hospital now with this terrible virus, or someone who's completely lost their business and are thousands in debt and the rest of it. There are some very difficult situations going on at the moment, and they are all relative to the individual. Never ever compare, oh, their life's worse than mine, so I'm okay. And everyone's is relative to the individual. If someone's in pain, they're in pain. If someone's having difficulty, they're in difficulty. They're experiencing sorrow, they're experiencing sorrow. All the comparing in the world doesn't help the situation. But the common denominator for all of those individuals, for me, for you, is we have to keep the mind calm. We have to slow the thinking down. The more we can do that, the easier it's going to be to make the right decision to move forward. I heard years ago that the definition of fear is excitement without oxygen. So just breathe. And that's step one, is get more fresh air into your lungs. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. I know it may sound trivial, but dehydration is a huge, huge problem. I do one-to-one coaching, and I do training and other personal development and self-development stuff with my one-to-one clients. Now, these are quite often senior management or business owners that have a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility, and they're not drinking enough water. They're not drinking enough. They're not hydrated enough. And you don't need to be a water expert or a nutritionist to understand that your system, your body, water is like the oil for the engine of the car. So you could be driving that car for miles and miles and miles, and you are not going as fast as you could be, or it's not running as efficiently as it could be, because it's got a reduction of oil inside. So just because you're not dying on the spot, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be looking after yourself and drinking more water. Again, I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't advise you on just how much water you should drink for your personal situation, but you should find out and you should make sure that you're hitting that. I'll tell you what, all this talk about water, I'm becoming more and more aware that I've got dry lips, so I'm going to have some. I've always got a glass of water on the go, and I've picked a big one, 400 ml I can fit in here. Then I can start to measure just how much water I have. And it's almost like, well, what's this got to do with consciousness, spirituality? And if you're not drinking enough water, if your body and your brain have not got enough fluid, they are stressed. And if you're on a physical level stressed, whatever you do with your mind and positive thinking and meditation, and you are just making the whole thing more difficult, the whole thing harder. So if I were you and you do experience stress and it does turn into fear and you are concerned about the uncertainty of everything around you, first things first, take some deep breaths. Learn how to breathe into your stomach. This is the beauty of Google now. You can just Google yogi breath, and then you will be able to understand how you can fill the bottom of your lungs up. And get outside, get some fresh air. Sorry about that. That was because I said the word Google. My phone turned on. Okay, so get some fresh air into your lungs as soon as you can. As soon as you wake up, you imagine you've been lying in bed for however many hours. The whole system, start to look at your body and your brain as a system that needs maintenance. It works on a mechanical level. So we have to look after it on in a mechanical way. If you don't have enough water for 3 days, you can die. If you don't have enough air for 3 minutes, you can die. If you don't have enough food for 3 weeks, you can die. So let's reverse that. If I improve the quality of my air, my water and my food, I'm going to live longer. I'm going to be more calm in my present life. So get up, get some fresh air into the lungs. This will straight away calm the system. Get some water inside of you. Me personally, as soon as I get up, I drink about 800 millilitres to like flush the system, get the water going again, because I've been lying in bed with everything congealing and slowing down. Also, try and get daylight on the sun, or daylight on your face. If you Google circadian rhythms, this is what affects how well you sleep, which is another one of the basics that needs to be looked after. Reduce your screen time just before you go to bed. Put a blue light filter on your phone, because all of this affects the quality of your sleep, which again puts the system under stress. So then when you try and make big decisions or think about things or develop a strategy or start to meditate, you have just made it more difficult for yourself. So we've got fresh air, water, daylight on your face, definitely before 10 a.m. There's a book by Linda Geddes, I think it is, where scientific research has been done about the sun and its importance. These are all simple, basic things that you can bring into your daily life, and they do make a difference. Also, movement. Luckily, the government at the moment has said that we can all leave our homes to do exercise. Even if you can't leave your home, again, you've got YouTube, you've got Google. There are so many free exercise things that you can do. And even if you've got injuries, and just little movements is going to increase the heart rate, it's going to flow the blood round, and it's going to make the system work better. The better the system works, the easier it's going to be for you to de-stress, to be able to relax and stabilize, because this is what we need to do, especially to combat and face fear. And once you've got all of that in place, then you can start to, or even before you get all of that in place, you can start to learn how to do the actual meditation that we do here, the Raj Yoga meditation. That is the real game changer. Based on all the stuff that I've said earlier, when we really understand that our experience is an outcome of our thinking, our feeling, our attitude. So if we change our thoughts, our actions will take care of themselves. So the more you start to create calming and more peaceful thoughts, the more calming and peaceful you will be in difficult situations. I went to a council once, and part of my remit was to teach the staff how to meditate. I did 2 sessions, and a senior manager there came in and shared a story. And the story was that they'd had a very stressful thing happen in their department, and how she responded to it was in a very calm manner. All of her staff asked her if she was okay. They thought she was ill or something, because normally she would get very stressed, which would lead to anger, and that is what they were used to seeing. But because she then responded in such a calm way, it freaked everyone out. And that was just learning the meditation steps and practicing for a few minutes each day for a couple of weeks. It really, really does make a difference. Because when we start to, because the key to successful meditation is reducing distraction. This is one of the reasons why we keep our eyes open, so we can learn to master and stop the distraction of things that we're seeing. That's one of the steps. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through 6 steps, and then just seeing what the time is. I'm going to take you through these 6 steps, explain them to you, and then we are going to practice these 6 steps, a little meditation right at the end. So step 1 is, do you know what? I can, this is the beauty of having a whiteboard behind me. I'm going to quickly write these steps up, and then you can jot them down and you can remember them. So we've got 1. Just making sure it's in the right place. Okay. So these, sorry, just trying to get in the right position. So these steps are something that I've developed over the years. I've taught a lot of people how to do Raj Yoga meditation, and I would constantly get people saying to me, well, I don't know if I'm doing it right. What should I be doing? What should I be thinking? What should be my experience? And through teaching this sort of stuff for 15 years now, I've found that these steps really help people get pretty much instant results. It depends on how often you practice and how much you master these steps, because at the end of the day, repetition is the mother of all learning. If you were to speak to someone who won an Olympic, a gold Olympic medal, you'll probably find out that their regime is more intense than a lot of their competitors, or they're doing something that's probably, take David Beckham, for instance, the footballer. He had one of the best conversions for free kicks in the world, and he probably practiced more free kicks than anyone else did in the world, which is why he got such a high success rate. And it's the same for all of us. If you want to learn how to calm your mind, if you understand that meditation and focusing the mind is helpful to you, you need to do it more than once. You need to do it more than twice. I've completely forgotten how many times I've sat down and practiced a meditation, or we've got this thing called checking and changing, where I check where my thinking is and then I change its direction. Countless times that I've done it. So it's now a strong habit and part of my life, part of me. This is how much I've done it. And these are the steps that I do and have done. It takes time to practice. The 6 steps can be done in like a second. So it's like what I've done is I've got hold of the process and I've expanded it, because I want to save you 10, 15 years of experimentation in your meditation. I want you to be able to very quickly apply these and start getting a result and an outcome, so you can then experience the benefits. So step 1 is relax. Now, relaxation, that will straight away, you put those basics in place that I mentioned earlier, the water, the fresh air, the movement, straight away you will feel better. Yeah, it's not going to solve all your problems. The world's not going to become a different place, but you are going to feel better about yourself, and maybe even a little bit better about the situations that you're facing and the decisions that you've got to make. But you can do a little bit more. Yeah, it's good to sit when we do concentrated meditation. So we sit, feet flat on the floor, roll out the neck, roll the shoulders, and take 3 deep breaths. That's really good. Get plenty of oxygen into the system. Now, when you become quiet, relaxed, and still, you then quite often become very aware of what information your senses are picking up on. So you could be hearing the neighbours next door, their dog could be barking. So you could be sitting there thinking, I wish their dog would stop barking. And what you're doing is you've sat there nice and relaxed, and now you're getting irritated because the dog's barking, or you're creating the irritation yourself. So it's a lot easier to sit there and think, that is next door's dog. Dogs do bark. I'll accept it. And as soon as you accept it, and acceptance isn't a weakness, acceptance is the step 1, to the first step to actually stopping the influence of things. And I could talk about it. Maybe I can do another talk another day just about acceptance, because a lot of that's another deep subject to go into. But the more I can come up with tactics and techniques to let go of stuff, i.e. the example I gave with the dog, the quicker I'm going to stop the influence of things that are coming through my physical senses. So that one was for our ears. Another one might be, you become aware of the temperature of the room. It's a little bit hot. Okay, well, it's hot. Yeah. The quicker I accept it, this is what climatization is. If you go to a foreign country, you will climatize quicker the quicker you tune in and start to accept it, so the body can sort itself out and attune itself to it with your help. So you can become, it's a bit cold in here. Obviously, if it's freezing and you've got an icicle on the end of your nose, then you've got to do something about it. But if you're only going to be sitting there for a few minutes, you can tell yourself, right, well, I accept it. It's a little bit cold. It's a little bit warm. I've sat here to focus my mind. Actually, this little challenge is going to help me focus my mind, because I want it a bit warmer, because I want it a bit cooler. So it's quite interesting how straight away we can turn the challenges into good things. And this is a form of letting go. This is a form of stopping it influencing me, which is really what I want to do, and stop the distraction of the things coming that I become aware of. Now, another thing that you can become aware of are things that you've got to do, and a little time you've got, something you've forgotten to do. So you could sit down with a pen and paper. So when these things come into your mind, you quickly write them down, so you don't have to keep remembering them. Or you might come up, it might pop into your mind something painful from the past or some fear about the future. Now, in the next couple of minutes while you're doing that meditation, you're not necessarily going to find and act out a solution to solve that. So you can tell these thoughts to go away, like you do with irritating children. Yeah, just tell them to go away, do something else. And you can even say to them, look, you can come back again later. But just by us having that conversation with ourselves, because thoughts are our self-talk. So just because we have a thought doesn't mean we have to entertain it, doesn't mean we have to dance with it. So you can tell these thoughts to go away. So that's another tactic and technique. And then number 3 is focus. So I just mentioned in letting go about what we become aware of in our physical sense, through our physical senses. Well, the naughtiest physical sense is our eyes. And this is why they have a whole step to themselves. Your eyes are connected to more sensors in the brain than the rest of the senses put together. Eyes are so influential that it's almost whatever we see fills our whole awareness. Okay, so what I want to do is master my eyes. I don't want to be influenced by everything I see all of the time. And I know that might sound a bit weird. Well, how can you not be influenced by everything that you see? So I'm going to ask you, and I apologise because we're all stuck at home, if you are sitting by your front door and you can physically see it. But this is the one I normally do in live talks. What colour is your front door? And most of you you might have even said it out loud, the colour of your front door. But we see, or we create, or we remember the image round about here. This is where all our thinking's done. It's here and back here. Yeah. So where you draw a line here and here and it crosses, that's where all your thinking's being done. So that's where you create the image, or you remember the image of your front door in colour with your eyes open. And the reason I ask you this is to show that there's a difference between what you see with your physical eyes and what you see with your inner eye, with your imagination, which is the next step. So what we want to do is give the eyes something to do so we can step away from them, so we can go to that position inside. It's like a feeling of turning within. So I rest my eyes on a still point. Okay? Something tiny and still, and then I can just rest my eyes on there, and then straight away that makes you more focused, more relaxed, more calm, just by taking control of your eyes and resting them on a point. Now, I know this causes a lot of problems with people, and you might not get all the steps straight away. Again, the repetition is the mother of all learning, so you have to practice. But by me resting my eyes on a point, you might feel that your eyelids are heavy. What can quite often happen is people become aware that they are really tired. And if you are really tired, then have a snooze. Yeah, stop and have a snooze with your meditation. But when you wake up, realize I've had a snooze, now I'll do the meditation. Don't think I can't meditate. You just become aware that you were tired, have your snooze, then do all of these steps afterwards. Yeah. Another thing people will say, oh, everything goes black and white, things start flashing, things move. And so what that actually means is you're still being influenced by what your eyes see. When I first started to do this, my eyes would water. But like the Olympic gold medalist, I've got to do something a little bit different to what everyone else is doing. So I kept my eyes open and I said to my eyes, you're my eyes, you do as I tell you. Yeah? So now I can sit like this, rest my eyes on a point, soft gaze. I can do it for a very long time. and I get no flashing lights, no this, that, this, because I'm used to doing it, because I've practiced it. So I can rest my eyes on that point, and then I can turn my awareness inwards, and that's what we want to do. So for step 4 is is imagine. And the reason this step is here is because you can quieten all these things down, stop the influence of your senses, and then your mind can really start to race. So we want to keep the mind busy as well. So we've got to give the mind something to do. But what we don't want, because in steps 5 and 6, that's actually where the meditation is done. In steps 5 and 6, we're hopefully going to create a really powerful feeling. And when we create powerful feelings, they get recorded inside us based on the imagery that we can see. So in step 4, we don't want to think of someone, something, or somewhere. So what I suggest is that you create the image of a little point of light, because we need a reference point. But we want one that's almost not made of matter. I know we can get into an argument, the light is matter, and and I'm even going to give you one to get you going if you struggle with that, is what does a star at night look like? Yeah, so black, little dot of light in the middle, create that, you've now got it. Yeah, but you might say, well, that's made of matter, but it's like having stabilizers learning how to ride a bike. I'm giving you that until you can practice creating the image on your own. And what I'm actually getting you to do there is then go to the center of your consciousness. Whoa, yeah. But this is focus. This is concentration. If you just slow everything down and then just become aware of everything that's going on inside your head, you're going to think meditation is painful, is exhausting, is confusing, is all of this stuff. And that's why this step 4, imagine this little point of light, stabilizes the mind, gives it something to do, and it enables you to really focus and concentrate. So these first 4 steps, that's why we've got a line here. These first 4 steps are all about stopping the distraction and the influence of other things, because it's those other things that cause us the problem, which prevents us from being able to create a thought and experience a thought of choice. That, for me, is the definition of meditation. It's creating a thought and moving into the experience. So really, meditation is just these 2 steps, but this is the foundational work to really help you master these. So step 5, this is creating an I am thought. So I, because it's me, so we're moving away from the blame game and the rest of it. We're just turning the focus all on me. Just by saying I, it's like our awareness goes in, because it's me. It's nothing to do with the world or anyone else. Am is a measurement of time. Am is right now, not because we're going to use the word peaceful, because peace is the best one to start off with, because it slows your thinking down and it fills you with power. So peace is not a weakness. So we've got I am peaceful. This is step 5. Now in Hindi, and I appreciate it's probably going to be a lot of Indian listeners, so I do apologise for my accent now. I am from Essex, and we've got a terrible accent with English, let alone foreign languages as well. But there's a term called sankalp. And again, my apologies if I got it wrong. And what sankalp means is like a determined thought. And I use that because there isn't, the closest in English is determined thought. So you have to use 2 words. Or the direct translation is oath or promise, but they're still not right. It's a thought of power. So it's like, I am peaceful. Not, I am peaceful, or I'd like to be peaceful, or, yeah, can you see the difference? And we don't want it to be all fluffy. We want it to be, I'm creating this with determination. This is happening, no matter what else is going on. I am peaceful. That's the difference. That's a sankalp. I mean it. I'm creating it. It is happening. That's the kind of power that we need behind that I am thought. So when we finish with a little practice of this, I will say it out loud and you'll say it inside silently, like, I am peaceful, like real determination. Because the thought is not the aim. That's why there's a sixth step. The thought is the spark, like the engine again. Yeah, the thought is the spark to fire the rest of it up. Because I'm creating I am peaceful because I want an experience, an inner experience of peace. This is the aim. So if you can get straight to this and forget all the other steps, but if you struggle, do the other steps and then you will start to have rich experiences. Now, when we first do this, I say to people, all your aim is to have a nanosecond of experience. And you might be, well, what is peace? And the best way to measure it is, do you feel better? So from when you sat down before step one to I am peaceful, and if you start to feel different, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever level, if you feel positively different, that's peace. All right, don't overcomplicate it. We love to analyze, especially here in the West. Just move into the experience. The more you practice, the more awareness of the subtlety and the power of it you will become. Yeah. Now I use a metaphor, analogy, simile, about surfers with experience. If you've got the best surfer in the world and the worst surfer in the world, they're both guaranteed to fall off their surfboards and get wet. And it's kind of similar with meditation. You could be the best meditator in the world, the worst meditator in the world, and at some point you're going to start thinking about something else. You're going to start getting distracted. And this doesn't mean you can't meditate. Like, that doesn't mean the surfer can't surf. What it does mean is that little stretch that you've done is now over. You fall in, you'd get back on the board and you'd carry on. So with meditation, we create the thought, the feeling of peace. So you might only have a nanosecond. And then just do it again. I am peaceful. Yeah? And then that might be a little bit longer. And then you start thinking about the bananas you got to buy from Tesco's or whatever. Yeah. Then you bring yourself back. I am peaceful. Or you might become aware that you're really tense. So that means step one again. Do a little bit more relaxation. You're being affected by next door's dog. Right. We'll let it go again. You keep shutting your eyes or they're moving around. Go back to step three and focus again. You have loads of thoughts and stuff coming in. Okay, so get back to step four. Start imagining that point again. Don't get lost in these steps. It's just about playing and experimentation, and no one's experience is going to be like yours. So it's going to be immeasurable and you're not going to be able to compare it with anyone else's, really. This is just the structure, the guideline that I've found has helped me start to master my mind, stop being influenced by all the fearful things that are going on in the world, and remain stable even in difficult times. Because you could be in the worst situation in the world, the most fearful situation in the world, and you may be as you're listening to this, but you've still got to make decisions. You've still got choices. They may be choices that none of the choices that you want, but you've still got to pick one. And the more you stabilize the mind and fill it with peace and power, the easier you're going to be able to discern and decide. So let's do it. So I'll talk through it. I'm going to look over there so I don't freak any of you out. So I'm going to look over here and I'm just going to quickly run through the steps and we're going to get to this bit. I'm going to do 3 sentences and then we'll kind of see what happens. Okay, so step one is sit, relaxed. If we had time, take some deep breaths, roll your shoulders out, roll your neck out. Already I feel better. And step two, I'm aware that you might be looking at me. I let that go, I accept that. I'm a little bit warm, so I accept that. I'm a little bit hungry. Apologies if you can hear my belly rumbling. So I can accept that as well. And then I can move on to step 3 and really soften the gaze. It's like a focused daydream. I'm just resting my eyes on that point. So I can step inwards. I wish I could show you that I'm doing that. So I step inwards and then I create a little ball of light. And now I hold those 4 steps together. Then we create the first thought. I am peaceful. I am very, very peaceful. I am the most peaceful I've ever been. And then I bring my awareness back to the room, back to movement, but remembering that feeling of peace. Well, I know I definitely feel different. I feel more relaxed. I feel more calm. I feel more focused. And this can only be a good thing when dealing with even the most difficult situations. The more calm I can be, the more I practice this, then the more I get challenged, and I've got scary things I've got to decide. The more calm I can be, the better those decisions and actions that I'm going to take will be. So I really do hope that has been helpful for you, and is a tool that is going to enable you to find some new ways out of the crisis and difficulties that you may be currently facing. So that brings to an end my talk today. I do hope you've enjoyed it. There is going to be another talk next week at the same time, and the topic is unity is strength, the power to cooperate. And the power to cooperate is a lovely power to discuss and know about. So I would definitely recommend attending that one, because the more cooperation we can have in this world, the quicker we'll see the changes that we want to see in the world. And I think that is one good thing that is coming out of this current situation, is that so many people are being so helpful and so cooperative with each other. So until next time, Om Shanti, keep smiling and stay strong.